Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So I've done, other videos ranking the Avengers costumes, and we're gonna do something similar for the Hulk. Bruce Banner is the man. Hulk is kind of like his costume, essentially, and the Hulk has had several different type of looks throughout the MCU. Even though he is just CGI, they do sort of change his look up a little bit if you go through the MCU. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at all of the different looks of the Hulk throughout the MCU and kind of rank what are my favorite versions of the Hulk. Alright, so we start off with the Hulk we meet this iteration of Bruce Banner's Hulk in The Incredible Hulk, which, yes, it is an MCU movie, some people forget. And so we get the first look, and obviously Bruce Banner's played by Edward Norton in that movie, so his Hulk looks a little bit different. And I did recently rewatch this movie not too long ago. I still think it's a pretty good movie. It has some little bit of problems in the middle, but I still think it's a pretty good movie. And I like this look of the Hulk, with one exception. I don't really like the shaggy kind of hair thing going on. I think if they just redid the hair, it would look a little bit better. This version of the Hulk is, I think, a slightly different shade of green than what we get with the Hulk going forward. And he also has, if you look at some of the pictures, he's more lean muscle. Like, you can see the muscular underneath, you can see the striations and the ligaments and everything kind of popping out. So he's a lot more lean in this one. He's a little less monstrous. He just is a little bit more of a bodybuilder kind of type, but bigger. So it's actually an interesting look for the Hulk. And then we obviously get the new Hulk in the Avengers movie. Mark Ruffalo plays Bruce Banner, so we have to get a new face on the Hulk. And they really did a good job at kind of capturing Mark Ruffalo and, his face and his acting and going forward from here. So we get a new look for the Hulk here. It definitely looks a lot more like Mark Ruffalo. They fixed the hair, I think. I like the hair a little bit better. And he's definitely a bigger, more bulkier, kind of more of a monster. Not like a monster, but more monstrous looking than the previous Hulk. He's not as lean muscle. He's just kind of more of a big, muscular guy. And I think he might even, I don't know if he's bigger. I'm not really sure if we get if they're consistent with the size scale of the Hulk throughout. Maybe they have been. So I don't know if they changed that or not from the Incredible Hulk to the Avengers. And, he even has a little bit of chest hair. I think they're really trying to reflect more of Mark Ruffalo in this version of the Hulk, which is fine. He's got the tattered, black pants, or purple pants, these at the end of the Avengers, it's black pants. I think in the Incredible Hulk, he was wearing really loose purple pants, which is definitely more of a classic Hulk look. And we do kind of get that version going forward. And then we get the Age of Ultron version, which is very similar, but you could definitely tell they kind of changed a little bit more of the look again. The CGI didn't really improve that much, the detailing or anything, but he definitely looks a little bit more like that monstrous type of Hulk that's, just really savage, right, for the Age of Ultron. And I think they did give him, different colored pants in that movie. And I think he might even be a slightly different shade of green too. I'm not sure, but basically the Avengers Hulks are pretty much the same in the first two. And then we do get the Thor Ragnarok Hulk, and so we get the Battle Hulk where he comes out in the arena. He's wearing the battle armor and everything. And that's a really cool look for Hulk. Again, it's this Hulk is this hulking savage beast that's gonna destroy you, and now he's got weapons, so you're dead. So I do like that version of the Hulk in terms of his look, at least putting Hulk actually in a costume and not just Hulk being the costume of Bruce Banner. I thought that was interesting. And then later on at the end, when he fights the giant wolf dog, he doesn't have the costume on, he's just Hulk again. And again, they definitely kind of worked with the CGI. I assume they just have the same model that they can, put on over Mark Ruffalo's acting. But they definitely changed some things. They always change the pants a little bit. I think sometimes they tweak a little bit of the muscular look. This one looks, it definitely doesn't look as tone, and like you can't see like as much of the muscles underneath and everything. So they kind of tone that down, so it's a little less like grotesque looking. They kind of make him a lot less grotesque and more just a big, bulky, really unfit guy. And then we get Hulk in Infinity War. And then I did notice from a couple of angles, we only get him for that one little shot where he's fighting Thanos in the beginning. But I did notice from a couple of angles that in Infinity War it did look like they gave him more of like, or maybe we just never saw the Hulk from this angle before in the previous movies, but they did definitely give him more of like a buffed out like back and shoulders look to that one. And I think they gave him a haircut too, maybe even, so it's more closely cut down, and I think maybe that was in Thor Ragnarok. But yeah, I think Hulk with less and less hair is definitely better. That shaggy, weird look in the Incredible Hulk was not good. So yeah, it's kind of weird they kind of went back to maybe more of that, almost grotesquely monstrous, muscular looking Hulk for Infinity War to take on Thanos. And then in Endgame, we get Professor Hulk, or Smart Hulk they call him. And so that is Bruce Banner's mind, but in Hulk's body. So it's definitely a different look for the Hulk in terms of how they animated it. It definitely looks more like Mark Ruffalo in the face. And it's definitely less of that monstrous, grotesque, muscular look. It just really looks like, a big bodybuilder that has, muscles. Just a regular buff dude. He's got the chest hair. He's got, a little bit of abs and the muscles, but they're not like popping out or anything, So it definitely is a different look. And then, he's wearing like, sweaters and, clothing, and he's got glasses. So that version of, the Smart Hulk is, and maybe I think they even changed his shade of green again. I don't know. Yeah, so that one, some people really like it. Some people, don't really like the Smart Hulk. So, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, yeah, in terms of the look of the Hulk, again, if you look at the Hulk in Endgame versus the Hulk in the Avengers, they definitely made him more human looking and less monstrous. So they definitely have been, working their way towards a more human looking Hulk. I kind of like Smart Hulk in Endgame in terms of it's something different for the character. I don't necessarily like how we got there and what we've done with Hulk since then. I think he should have been one shot thing for Endgame, and that's it. So I don't know. And then we get She-Hulk, and that one is definitely more of a, they definitely went with a more manly, like more looking humanoid look, especially in the face. Again, they really got those facial expressions and details down to look like Mark Ruffalo, but green. Again, the new hair's cut, and he just, even though his like arms are really huge, like his body, like the shape of the body and everything, that just looks like a buff guy that goes to the gym. It's not these like monstrous proportions or anything. He almost looks like, he's like wearing tight shirts and everything. It looks like he's like modeling, So again, I don't really like this version of the Hulk with Bruce Banner being in the Hulk body. It's kind of interesting to see, like, how, like an intelligent version of Hulk, but it's not actually an intelligent version of Hulk. It's just Bruce Banner who is intelligent. It's not the Hulk entity that just got smarter, right? So I do think it's kind of like a little bit of a cheat. And, he says it's the best of both worlds. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, that kind of begs a bigger question of, when he was in Hulk form before, was that a different, mind state, personality, or was that still Bruce Banner, just stripped of intelligence? Like, so I don't know, it kind of kind of muddies the waters on those questions, and I would rather we just get back to, Savage Hulk beating the crap out of things, destroying things, and not this intelligent Hulk. So, who's doing like meditating and yoga and stuff. Like, I don't want to see that, and taking his son to family barbecues. Nobody wants to see that. So let's kill off the son. Let's set up World War Hulk or whatever, and let's get back to Hulk. Anyway, but again, they have changed his looks up, and if you look at the looks, kind of as they go, you'll definitely notice a change. So I think the best look is probably still that original first Avengers look, just because it was the new version of the Hulk, with Mark Ruffalo. The CGI was a lot better than the Incredible Hulk. It still really holds up. It's Savage Hulk. He's a beast. So I really like that version. And then I guess, and that kind of, ties in with Age of Ultron. So I guess the Avengers / Age of Ultron Hulk, because he's really, like, just, he's not there. So, mentally, like, he's Savage Hulk. So then I would go Thor Ragnarok, because he wears that cool battle armor, and that was just a cool look, just to see Hulk in armor with weapons, and that was fun. So Avengers, Age of Ultron, Ragnarok, and then I guess I would go briefly the Infinity War Hulk, and then Endgame Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, and then lastly the She-Hulk look. Yeah. I actually do like the Incredible Hulk look. I don't think it's terrible. It's not terrible CGI, but it definitely is not up to quality now. Like, he's like super toned, where there's it's just skin over muscles type of look. Is just a little bit too much. And so that's why I kind of like the compromise they had in the first two Avengers movie, where he was still kind of hulking and like monstrous a little bit, but not grotesquely. And then they kind of just chiseled that away to where he looks more and more just like a really buff guy. So, yeah, so that's my rankings. The first two Avengers movies, Ragnarok, Infinity War, Endgame, Incredible Hulk, and then the She-Hulk show is last, just because I don't really care for the Smart Hulk look and everything, and I just don't like what they've done with Hulk since then. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your favorite version of the Hulk is throughout the MCU. What do you guys think? Do you really hate the Incredible Hulk? Do you really love the She-Hulk version? I don't think anybody does. Maybe for you, Ragnarok is the best. You can make an argument for that. That's true. That kind of Ragnarok, I think, kind of is that version of Hulk who's a little bit smarter, because he is talking more and everything, but he's still clearly Hulk. It's not the Bruce Banner personality. And so I could see that. Yeah, Ragnarok could be somebody's favorite version of Hulk, maybe. Yeah, I don't think anybody's is the She-Hulk or probably the Incredible Hulk. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts in the comments below? Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Marvel content as it comes out. I'm thinking about doing the Netflix Marvel shows. We'll see if I ever get around to doing that or not. Maybe because they're going to bring in those characters for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 or future. So anyway, stay tuned to the channel for more Marvel content. And until next time, Hulk smash. Bye.